Hello everyone, welcome to day 185 of a Stitch a Day 365 days crochet challenge. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to crochet this beautiful iris lace stitch. So this stitch for the swatch, I worked it using a smaller hook and I wanted it to have more of a lacy texture. So for this, I'm using a slightly larger hook, that is a 2 mm crochet hook. The stitch multiple of this particular stitch is a multiple of 8 plus 2, that is if you're starting with the foundation chain. And the first chain is for your single crochet. And the first row for this particular stitch is a single crochet. So if you want, you can just directly make a foundation single crochet as well. So if you're going for the foundation single crochet, you have to crochet a multiple of 8 plus 1. So in short, foundation single crochet 8 plus 1, foundation chain 8 plus 2. So once you got the first row of single crochets in place, you have to chain 1, turn your work. Okay. This chain 1 does not count as a stitch. So into the very first stitch, we are making 1 single crochet. Now skip the next 2 stitches. Okay. So you're going to skip these 2 stitches, and into the third one, I'm making a 3 yarn over puff stitch. So that's 1, 2 and 3. So once you got these puff stitches in place, we are going to just directly close the puff stitch with a chain. Okay, now chain 2, and into the very next stitch you are again going to make a puff stitch. So please note, we are doing it in the adjacent stitches, not into the same stitch. Again close it like the previous puff stitch with a chain. Now again chain 2, go into the next one, and we are going to make the 3 yarn over puff stitch again. Okay, now you are again going to skip 2. So before that, chain 1. So single crochet, chain 1, puff stitch, chain 2, puff stitch, chain 2, puff stitch, and again 1 chain. And into the next 2, you are going to skip the next 2 single crochets. Into the third one, you are going to make a single crochet. So 1, 2, into the third one, you are going to make a single crochet. Okay, so now basically we have created this one, let's call it a lotus bud or a iris. So now again you are going to chain 1, skip the next 2, so 1 and 2. Into the third one, you are going to start making the petals for the next flower. Okay, again chain 2, we are going to repeat the same thing. Into the next one, make the next puff stitch, again chain 2. Into the next one, you're going to make the last puff stitch. So basically this is the stitch repeat for the row. You make a single crochet and you make these 3 petal flowers right here. Okay, so you have to do this till the end of the row, and if you got it right, your last stitch should be a single crochet. If not, you have to go back and check your stitches. Okay, so now here we are at the end of the row. You skip 2 and make 1 single crochet. Okay, let's say that's the setup row for the rest of the pattern. Now we are going to make a 2-row repeat. So this row number 2 is going to be the first repeat row, where you start with a chain 3, turn your work, and into the very first stitch you are going to crochet, that is on top of the single crochet you are going to make a double crochet. Now chain 2, on top of the middle stitch here we are making 1 single crochet. So basically we are just setting up the uh, spaces for the next row of these petals. So again chain 2, and into the single crochet you're creating 3 double crochet stitches. Okay, so on top of these double crochet stitches we'll be making these petals. Okay, and on top of the single crochet we'll be making the single crochet stitches. Again chain 2 and make 1 single crochet on top of the middle petal here. Again chain 2, make 3 double crochets here. So that's 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so again chain 2, on top of the middle stitch here we are making 1 single crochet. Again chain 2. So the chain 3 and 1 double crochet counts as 2 double crochet in this row. So we are ending the row with 2 double crochet stitches on the final single crochet that we made. Okay, so this is repeat row number 1. Okay, so now for the repeat row number 2 we are going to make 2 chains. This does not count as a stitch. Turn your work, into the very first double crochet you are going to make 1 more double crochet, and you are going to chain 2 and you're going to make 1 puff stitch. So this counts as half a flower. Okay, so you're just going to make 1 puff stitch on top of the second double crochet here. Okay, then chain 1 and you're going to make 1 single crochet on top of the single crochet here. Again chain 1, and now we are at the double crochet space where we'll be making 1 puff stitch on top of each of these double crochet stitches separated by a chain 2. Okay, so that's 1 puff stitch, a chain 2, and you're going to make 1 more puff stitch in the second double crochet, and you're going to make chain 2 and 1 more puff stitch onto the third double crochet. Okay, again chain 1 and make a single crochet on top of the single crochet here. Again chain 1, move on to the next double crochet, creating these petals. So that is the second row of pattern repeat. Again, at the end of the row, you have to make, so after the single crochet, make one chain, and at the end of the row you have to make a half flower. That is, you're going to make the same thing you did at the start of the row. That is, we did a double crochet and a puff. Now we are going to do the same thing in reverse, a puff and then a double crochet. Okay, so onto the first double crochet stitch, we'll be making a puff stitch, a chain 2, and a double crochet on top of the chain 3 from the previous row. Okay, so that completes the second row of repeat. So the third row of repeat is a modification of the second one, because we are interlacing these shells here. Just like any other shell stitch pattern, you will have 2 rows of setup, 2 repeats of the setup and 2 repeats of the shells. Okay, so now this time we are going to start just with the chain 1, turn your work, and you're going to make one, the chain 1 does not count, you're going to make one single crochet on the very first double crochet from the previous row. Now again chain 2, and on top of the single crochet you'll be making a 3 double crochet. So one setup row starts with double crochet and the second setup row starts with single crochet. You have to alternate these setup rows into till the length that you want. Okay, so here on top of the single crochet we'll be making 3 double crochet stitches. Okay, again chain 2 and make one single crochet on top of the middle petal here. Again chain 2, make 3 double crochets. Okay, and then again chain 2 and make a single crochet. So if you get it right, you will end with a single crochet. So the best way to understand a pattern is to break down the repeat rows. Okay, so there are 4 repeat rows for this particular stitch, 2 of the setup row and 2 of the shell row. So the setup row has a half shell row and a full shell row, and the shell row also has a half shell row and a full shell row. So you make a half shell setup, then make a half shell, then make a full shell setup and make a full shell. Okay, so now here again this is going to be, we did a full shell setup row. The full shell setup row starts and ends with a single crochet. Half shell setup row starts and ends with a double crochet. The half shell starts and ends with a double crochet and a puff stitch, and the full shell starts and ends with a single crochet. Okay, so we are going to chain 1, turn your work and make one single crochet. Okay, and now again chain 1. On top of these 3 double crochet stitches, we are making 3 of those petals using the puff stitch. So I hope by now you would have understood the pattern repeat. So you just create these 3 double crochet stitches to make the shells on top, and because you want to interlace it, we are creating a half shell row in between. That's it. So I hope you understand this pattern and try it out. If you have any doubts, you can reach us out in the comment section, or you can DM us directly to our Instagram page. We'll definitely help you. And if you make any products using this, do tag us on Instagram. Would love to see your work. And I'll meet you tomorrow with yet another interesting crochet stitch. Thank you.